Hey there, I just want to make a quick point to you because I've been talking to a lot of people recently. I've been hearing through email, I've been coaching some folks, and I'm getting a message from everyone that it's sort of these repeated messages. And I feel like I've been telling them this. I also need to share this with you, which is this. Whenever your mind comes up with stuff, whenever your mind tells you that you're not good enough, whenever your mind tells you that you're defective, whenever your mind tells you there's something inherently wrong with you, your mind tells you that you can't let go, when it tells you that you're attached, when it tells you that you are not good enough, good looking enough, happy enough, you're not whole enough, you're not enough in any way. Whenever your mind tells you this, a lot of people tend to believe it. And um, I just want to point out that just because your mind thinks it doesn't make it true. Let me repeat that. Just because your mind thinks it doesn't make it true. What does that mean? That means that these thoughts that are going through your head, everyone, many of us, think that just because we have the thought that it's true, just because the thought says I'm not good enough, because the thought says they're better than me, the thought says their life is better than mine, the thought says they have more going for themselves than I do, just because these thoughts come up in your mind. The thought says, my ex is doing much better than I am. The thought says, they're much happier and more successful than I am. Just because you have this thought does not make it true. But a lot of people live like these thoughts are true and they just take it for granted. And when I start questioning them, I'm like, wait a second, where is this thought coming from? And it's just one of many, many possibilities. It's like watching a movie. You could create that movie. Your mind creates this movie. Your mind is very imaginative. It's very creative. It's a great storyteller. It has this unique ability to make stuff up. But if you start believing it, it would be like going into a movie theater, watching a movie, and saying, oh, that's really the truth. That's really what happened. That's not the case. We got to put our minds in check. You're wondering next, how do you do that? Very simply, I'll give you a couple basic tips. One is simply to know this. Just because your mind thinks it doesn't make it true. I just want you to know that. So then you start questioning and doubting everything that your mind tells you. Like, can that be true? Can this be true? Start asking your mind that, right? So watch your mind. Secondly, entertain other possibilities. If your mind tells you one thing, look at the opposite thing. If your mind tells you that their life is better than yours, look at the opposite thing. Look at opposite thoughts, right? And try to prove your mind wrong. And thirdly, I would say you can use a spiritual practice, a mindfulness practice, a meditative practice, or just essentially slow your life down so that you're observing these thoughts, so that you can put a spotlight on these thoughts. And each thought that pops up, you can like look at it, examine it, um, question it, doubt it, and then set it aside. And just know that just like passing clouds through your mind, thoughts pass through your mind. That doesn't make it true, real, legitimate, or anything like that. So keep that in mind.